gonna say.
I love those little guys. I got a couple right there. Standing next to Stanley.
They're so
I
good.
love their little magnet mohawks.
Whether they plan for this or not, I think it's hilarious that you can match up Wonderland pretty much all the Garfields. So right now I have Daylog, a very bad influence on the little black Wonderland. I forgot his name, but they look adorable.
Very good. I feel like we have to apologize to our loyal listeners for the last episode. One, because we had so much fun talking about toys, we forgot that we were actually doing a podcast. I think not once. I don't think we addressed the loyal listeners or asked their opinion about anything. And we blathered on so long because we got excited about toys that we want to see that we never got. I don't know. We didn't pay attention to time.
Look, they know what they're watching. They know where they can get a hold of us on this podcast, which is
Two Guys Talking Toys.
Yes, we are.
Yes. And we didn't even review our socials. Like, we were so just amateurs. We've gotten worse. The more experience we have, the less professional we're coming.
I feel like that's fine. They can see it in the they can see it in the description. They can listen to the very end. I'm
right.
Honestly, I even though I do listen to podcasts, the contact information I don't really pay that much attention to it. I probably should.
Because you could comment right on. You could comment right on, the site, YouTube or Spotify, whatever.
Absolutely. Since we are talking about it, if you would like to weigh in on the topic and you didn't want to wait till the end of the episode, please feel free to get a hold of us at Two Guys Talking Toys. That is the number 2, no G after the talking. That's our handle on Twitter. If you want to use Gmail, please don't send us terrible things. Just kidding. Send us whatever. No, I'm not. Don't send us terrible things.
No terrible things.
At Two Guys Talking Toys at gmail.com. Same thing as before. The number 2 and no G after the talking.
Nice. Anything new this week?
I have managed to get my hands on it. And I forgot about this because I shipped my pile of loot.
Changed up your shelf. Your Thundercats are gone.
I did. This is what I consider to be kind of my play shelf. I have other shelves around that have my kind of like my static displays where it's the my Marvel Legends where I have them divided into teams. Even kind of my Joe shelf where I have not a lot of Joes displayed. It's more like the Cobras. So I have,
right.
but even the Cobras I have divided into different sections.
The man dressed in black all the time displays the bad guys. He's got Galactus hanging over his shoulder. He's got Cobras on display.
Absolutely. So, but I do have the Thundercats. They've been moved around from this display, but they have their own spot.
They're in the litter box.
Yeah, that's where they belong. Right. But I have a couple of spots where, yeah, if I get stuff that either I can't fit on the regular displays or I can't decide exactly where I want them to go, or I just fall on run out of room, I'll put them on the play shelf where it's whoever I want fighting whomever, because I don't have time. I don't have time. Yeah, I don't have time to crash bang boom them anymore. And this keeps the paint a little bit nicer than doing that. So right. And I'm also just slowly trying to influence you to maybe play around with your display. Just a little more.
Behind me is quite diverse. Like that is not. That's
it very much is.
But that's in my office space. Like that's those are the ones that I like. I don't need a whole shelf. Wait, wrong one. I don't need a whole shelf for besides your Jimbo. I've only got 2 of them and eventually 3. And like Samurai Jack, I've only got 1. So, I don't need these. This is sort of the misfit. I don't have a space for them.
Well, this is kind of your version of a play shelf. I like that.
Yeah. We totally, again, digressed from what did you get new?
Oh, so after opening a lot of stuff in my pile of loot, I had actually forgotten for quite some. Maybe it doesn't count as a recent get, but recent to me because I forgot about it. The new Transmetal 2 Megatron from Transformers. Not sure if he's appearing properly.
That's great. Great artwork.
So the for those of you that can't see, because we are now a visual medium. For those of you that can't see, this was Megatron from Beast Wars in, I believe it was season 3, where he falls into a vat of lava after fighting with Optimus Primal, and rises up as this awesome looking red dragon. It's super cool. The original toy is actually pretty cool, and they updated him for the newest Transformers Legacy line. So I'm pretty excited to crack this guy open. I just noticed just a minute or two ago that Megatron seems to be trying to escape on his own. He doesn't be in there anymore. I don't. He is. So he's a clever girl.
Yes.
So
wow, that's rough.
That's an interesting. I mean, it's just going to be torn open anyway, so I don't particularly care that it's been torn into. So what about
those?
So what about you? What if you?
I got something new to me, but it's not new. I got it off eBay for just a couple of bucks, so it was amazing. I got
not the parking lot.
Deep Six. Not the parking lot. No, Deep Six. And he's a little loose.
Oh, that is awesome.
I didn't get the Shark Diver yet, which is, what the vehicle he came with, which was awesome when you're a kid, because it kind of looks like a plane that goes underwater. So you make it fly too, but I always liked Deep Six because his name is Malcolm R. Willoughby, like Malcolm R. Willoughby. And you'd think
he came up like, with this.
Yeah, but he's from Maryland, so I don't know if that justifies it, but
weigh in, all you Maryland people.
Yeah, he's from Maryland. But you'd think like a name like Malcolm R. Willoughby would be like this genteel guy, right? But the opening line in the character bio of his card is Deep Six has never won any awards for being friendly. And it goes on about what an antisocial guy he is, that he just likes to play solitaire. And I think he collected and I think he collected something weird like bottle caps or something. Like
is that a step above or below stamp collecting?
I thought you were going to say catching Pokemon.
That's much more of a social thing.
Is that a step above or below going Pokemon hunting for the afternoon? I don't know, but a name like Malcolm R. Willoughby, you expect something a little better than he's not going to win any awards for making a friend.
Now, what year did that come out?
Oh, I don't know off the top of my head. 84, 85, maybe somewhere.
Oh, that is strange to me, because that was like peak time period for getting names like Ace McCloud. Guess what he does?
Right. I may be totally wrong on those years. It may have been later than that, 85, 86. But it wasn't too far into the line, because we started getting those vehicles and things like that make
Hot Streak McGriddle. Guess what he does?
Right.
Why is his name not Ace
McCloud? That was the Centurion, right?
Yup. Being the good uncle that I am, when my nephews were younger, I used to show them things like 1970s cereal commercials or 1980s cartoon intros. And
now, why was that? Were you like, you think you got it bad? Look how much it sucked when I was a kid.
Oh no, you just find out some real weird stuff that they were allowed to do and to air back then. For example, and not to derail for too much longer, there is so you're familiar with Snap, Crackle, and Pop from Rice Krispies. There is an old commercial where the kids who are and they would do the whole like part live action kids and then animated.
Kind of that Roger Rabbit thing going on.
Yes, so there is a commercial out there, and I cannot find it. I haven't been able to find it since. These kids are about to enjoy cereal, and these weird, like, anti-breakfast cereal guys show up, and they're like, "Hey, kid, you want some toast? Hey, kids, you want to eat some of this?" And they're like,
"Want something healthy?"
Yeah, and they're like, and the kids are like, I guess so. And it's Snap, Crackle, and Pop show up, and I'm watching with my nephews, and I'm like, oh, they're gonna fight to like the death or something. I'm joking. Guess what happens? They fight. They Snap, Crackle, and Pop, like curb stomp these dudes into oblivion.
Wow,
So
You know what
amazing.
battle I always wanted to see? I wanted to see like a Crest superhero come in and fight the cavity creeps. Remember the
Oh,
cavity,
that's right. They
those
make holes
rock,
in teeth.
like those black guys with the giant pick. We make
Make
holes in
holes
teeth.
in teeth.
Like, why wasn't there a Crest superhero? It's not this just tsunami of whitewashing things. Like, I wanted an actual superhero.
Didn't they add human characteristics to the Crest tube at some point? Because like, I seem to recall there being a character that had like the swoosh of toothpaste hair. I
That
could
was
be misremembering.
Aquafresh. I think that was
Oh,
Aquafresh because they had the different colors. They had the stripes, the
yeah.
red and the green.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate missed opportunity.
Yeah,
But
I would
I
buy a Cavity Creeps action figure.
get on it, Crest.
Right.
What are we waiting for? You can't get them as like a prize in a cereal box anymore. Like
Well, it's because
none of
there's too
that.
much sugar. You're not gonna, well, yeah, I mean, uh, all right, Tom, before we go too far down the rabbit hole with that or the holes in our teeth, what's our topic today? It's your turn, brother.
All right. So last week's discussion about what action figures do you think should be kind of redone in today's modern age with our current engineering scene that was a lot of fun for me, and
Yeah,
hopefully a lot
too
of
much
fun for
fun.
you.
We forgot we had an audience.
that was pretty good. We talked up to the wire. So this week I want to kind of play around with that because during one of our picks we mentioned playsets, and I remember that being a big part of your gameplay when you
Yes.
were younger. So if you were to take any of the playsets from yesteryear, uh, who would you pick? What would you want to see updated?
Yes, I love playsets. I love it. Do you
Those
remember your first playset? Oh, I have it right here. I have mine on the shelf right here.
Oh, what was your first playset?
The first playset in my house, Gilligan's Floating Island.
Oh my god! Wow!
Yes.
Is this why you've been looking for figures to replenish your
Yes,
Gilligan Island
I've
display?
been rebuilding this. Now I know I could find it in some places and buy the whole kit, but
Mhm.
you know me, I like to do things the hard way. So, I've got the boat and the tree, but
Wow,
Gilligan's Floating Island,
that
uh,
is awesome.
play school, 1977. This
Wow.
was like the first, and it had the little it had Gilligan, a skipper, and Marianne.
Mhm.
No Ginger, no Professor.
Really?
Well, it's a small island. They
But well, we
and
we
they
we
get tired
know.
of eating coconuts. They
I
never
always,
tried fishing. They never ate fish.
it was always my belief that the professor could have left the island at any point he wanted. He just knew that Gilligan and the skipper were not competition for Marianne and Ginger.
Right, right. And I'll explain this to you offline. But there are two types of men in this world: the ones that like Ginger and the ones that like Marianne. And
Is,
every man falls into one of those two categories, either a Ginger or a Marianne fan.
is
But
this like the Veronica? Oh my goodness, what were
Betty
the
and
names?
Veronica,
Betty and Veronica.
maybe, I don't know that theory. So, but um yeah, playsets are huge, and that one, it was a big deal because it floated,
Mhm.
and hence the name Floating Island. And but the figures weren't articulated. They were like kind of squishy, but you
Yeah.
could squish them, right, because they were made of rubber and they were hollow,
Mhm.
and they had a hole in the bottom, so you could squish them, stick them under water, and let them go, and they would fill with water because you created the vacuum. And then you could get them up and like you could squish it. Just
Oh, yeah, I remember those. I remember.
yeah, yeah.
Not the Gilligan ones in particular, but I do remember there being like that being the toy feature for a lot
Right,
of like
like
bathtub
ducklings,
toys.
like little
Yep.
rubber duckies had the same thing. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, but I was a big fan of Gilligan's Island when I was a kid. Oddly enough, I didn't like the ones that were in black and white. Like it had to, once they were in color, I liked them.
Yeah.
Much like the Batman '66 series. Like didn't want to watch the black and white ones. Give me the
Yeah.
color ones. So playsets, yes,
So
playsets. I love it.
if you had someone update the Gilligan's Island playset, who would you want to do it?
Oh, well, there aren't many people like dabbling in playsets
Mhm.
anymore. That's sort of a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's because of the cost of the raw stuff to make the plastic, or for people like you and I, there are space issues.
Yeah, I think real estate is a real it's a
Mhm.
real thing where there's some stuff where you would buy it, but where am I going to that's the issue
But
that I have going on right now with the the Netflix He-Man Eternia.
Mhm.
I like the way that it looks. I have nowhere to put it. I'm
Uh,
out.
but McFarlane has dipped his toe back in there because the 66 Batman series that he's
Yes.
doing, the 6-inch, he did the Batcave, which is, it's rudimentary, but it's cool. I
Hmm.
like it. I bought it.
Yeah.
And he just released not long ago the villains
Oh
hideout.
yeah. Yes.
Uh and they're very cool. They're simplistic and they fit that that style of that show very well. I like it. It's
Hmm.
very well done. Another one I have is like the giant Batcave based on the movie,
Okay.
for the Justice League movie, where it's sort of street level. You've got the police station with the light up, but the thing's like, I mean, it's probably 3 feet tall
Yeah.
and 2.5 feet wide. It's monstrous.
They seem much more okay or more willing to take that kind of a risk with much younger
Right.
audiences.
Yeah. And in
Case in,
reality, it's a lot of plastic poles and a cardboard
yeah,
background. It's not really a lot. I say it's
yeah,
3 feet tall, but that's, when you break it down into its parts, it's really
yeah.
not a lot of plastic.
Imaginext seems to really be on top of that with their play sets.
Yes.
You get
I
some.
love Imaginext. I
They
really do.
are. I always imagine that the people who work at Imaginext have the most fun because long before we get a lot of homage figures, a lot of like throwback figures included into whatever line, they've already included some form of it as either a play character or some kind of play feature in their play
Yeah.
sets. Case in point,
And
like,
the giant dinosaurs and that like
yes,
skeletal walking thing, like
oh my god,
fantastic stuff. Imaginext, hats off to you, man. It's
yes,
awesome.
as if
And I
we're.
love introducing young kids to action figures.
Mhm. Yeah, were I a kid now collecting stuff, Imaginext would I'd be all over it.
Yeah.
Their DC stuff, their Batman stuff, they all look really cool. Like I have random Imaginext stuff just
Yeah,
because their
I've got a whole
Jurassic
shelf
Park
full of
line
it.
is really great.
Yeah.
So
And
kudos to them.
play sets, that's a weird history because you really didn't see like Mego had them, but they seconded as carry cases.
Hmm.
I remember
Yes.
I had the like Wizard of Oz, like I had the Emerald City.
Hmm.
I had the Mego Wizard of Oz toys,
Hmm.
and I had the Emerald City, and it was sort of that like cardboard, like
Yeah.
cased in plastic, and jointed with a snap, so you'd open it up, and then it
Yeah.
turned into like a little suitcase, and
Hmm.
then um, and then like Star Wars kind of turned out like we had Eagle Force, Eagle Island, and
Yeah.
like the Crystar Castle was just a flimsy piece of plastic, blue plastic. It was horrible. But like Star Wars really gave us the first play sets and they
Yeah.
got bigger. Like the original was the Death Star, which was,
Mhm.
a couple of feet tall and had different platforms, had the cannon, right? And then they gave us Tatooine, and
Mhm.
then they used that same mold for Hoth because it still had the dent where the escape pod
Yeah.
landed. Uh, but who really took the play set to the next level was G.I. Joe. I mean, the USS Flag is the greatest play set ever made. But even though Star Wars like it got but like the Ewok Village was cool. They later reused it for the Robin Hood. Kenner did the Robin
Mhm.
Hood movie figures and used the Ewok Village as Sherwood Forest.
Oh, so
Um,
here's a random question, and we'll get more on topic in just a second. If Hasbro created an Ewok Village HasLab, would you get it?
Oh, yes, I would.
I,
If it
what would?
was just a scaled up version,
Uh
like,
huh.
I mean, I already shared how much I'd love a good Ewok village. I was willing to
Hmm.
get Poison Oak to have one. Yeah, the Ewoks hold a weird place in my heart. I just love them. Low Gray, Chief Chirpa, all of them. I'm into them.
I don't know what
I
this.
just want to hug them. I want to pinch their little cheeks. And I still think if you watch the scene where Leia meets Wicket
Hmm.
and they're hanging out having their little picnic
Uh-huh.
on the log, and the biker scout shoots at them
Hmm.
as Wicket falls back over the log. I swear to you, he says, "Eat your mama." Like that's what he says. I swear to you.
I wouldn't be surprised. You can. I don't doubt that you can hear that.
Yeah.
Whether or not that was what he intended to say, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But
Well, I hear strange things that don't come out of people's mouths, but
what
I
would
can swear that's what he said.
what would the stretch goals of said project be? Would it be like just random body parts for troopers after being devoured? Would it
I would,
be?
yeah, nobody thinks about that. The Ewoks probably ate those stormtroopers,
Oh
but
yeah.
it would definitely have the helmet xylophone,
Uh,
right? Because we didn't get that in the original one. I guess that's a little dark. Uh, it had the throne for C-3PO and it had the
yes.
net that came up. It had the little
Mhm.
fireplace with the spit for
Yes.
Han. So yeah, people forget that they were going to eat Han.
Yeah,
Like,
I always, and to me, honest, that was kind of my favorite part about the Ewoks. It's not so much that they wanted to help the rebellion. It was these were people, these were magical people who set about events where meat rained from the sky, and they were fed for
mostly cooked.
yeah, probably months. They ate for because how many stormtroopers didn't know the war was over? They're stationed on this random planet. They don't
Right.
know that they lost. And they're
Right.
running around.
That's the movie. That's the next movie. I want to see like Predator, only it's stormtroopers being this like Ewoks dropping from the trees and biting
desperately
their
trying,
necks.
desperately trying to escape the Ewoks.
Not to mention the worst helmets ever. Like this 3-foot tall teddy bear whacks you on the head with a stick
You're done.
while you're
That's it.
wearing a helmet and you're out
It's
for the
over.
count. You're now
So,
Ewok dinner from a stick hitting you on a helmet.
so Hasbro, include this in the HasLab.
Yes,
Stormtrooper parts. You don't have to assemble them.
absolutely.
You don't need full figures. Just give us some parts. We'll
Right,
do the
and
rest.
I want like a George Romero kind of like Ewok chewing on an arm. Apparently, you can just bite right through the armor.
Oh yeah, not a problem. It's like tortilla chips, just covered in tortillas.
Right. So yeah, the evolution of the PlayStation, really hit its pinnacle with the USS flag. But Star Wars kind of started it for me
Mhm.
because the other one. But then there was the Hall of Justice and
Yes.
the Tower of Doom, and there were a bunch that weren't so good. But then next to the USS flag was Grayskull, and then Snake Mountain.
I never had Castle Grayskull or Snake Mountain or Eternia. But what I did have, and what I would love to see redone, the slime pit. Do you remember? Do you
Yes,
remember the
yes.
slime pit? It was for
Not the Nickelodeon one, not the you can't do that on
no,
television bit,
not
but
the I don't know, but the really cool where it had
I
the
wish I had a bucket of slime over your head when you said that. That would have been amazing.
There is a great Saturday Night Live skit where they go through all the different attempts at slime before they got the consistency right. It's pretty good. I recommend it. But yeah, I remember it mostly because my mom was not a fan of gross, gooey boy things. She had two girls before me, so I was a whole new
Right, right.
experience, and it's almost like she handed it over with two fingers on it. Like here's this thing you
Here's
wanted.
this thing.
Don't get any on the rug, please don't. But
Right.
it was so having the. I guess for anyone that's not, maybe I can add a picture for those who are not familiar with the slime pit was. It was just imagine like a slab of wall, and then literally like a little pit that had a bone hand in it, and you would put a He-Man figure inside this pit, and you would flip a lever in the back, and the bone hand would reach up and grab them so they couldn't escape. And the real terror came from perched atop this the wall was a kind of like a dinosaur skull. It wasn't a human skull. It was some sort of like animalistic looking cool skull, and you would pour slime into the back of it and then tilt it forward and just let it ooze out of its mouth and its nostrils, which I thought was just extra gross and super cool.
Yeah, it was like
And it
dragon
would,
snot.
yeah. And the mini comic that came with it was He-Man being trapped by the. Oh wait, no, he allowed himself to be captured because the horde,
Of course.
the evil horde, was always picking on the rock people. there was a random village that was easy pickings, and I believe they are holding them hostage. And he was like, "No, stop! I'll just get in." So he gets in, and
I need a shower anyway.
yeah. So they slime him, and he turns into a. This may have been a pack in comic for both the slime pit and snout spout. I could be
I like
mistaken, but
Snoutspout because you know what? He reminded me of the guy in the Great Space Coaster.
oh yeah, I could see that with
Yeah.
like the giant face. Yep.
Hmm.
Uh, but he gets slimed in that, and we never, up until recently, never got a slime He-Man. So
Hmm.
I would like to see a slime He-Man. I would like to see an updated slime pit, please. Which
Yeah,
I
I
would.
well, that was the one from the Netflix series, right? With the yellow snot looking one.
Oh, I believe so.
Yeah, and you know what? They did a tick figure like that. That was green. That was
Oh, yes,
the
the,
snot
the
tick.
one created by Thrackle, what,
Yeah,
Thrackle Throg.
yes, it's fantastic.
But give me that, preferably attached to a playset that I never owned, the Fright Zone. Like just
Yes.
combine the two of those. I think that would be really cool.
Did you correct me if I'm wrong, but you got on the bandwagon for that giant Eternia thing, right? So
I did. Speaking of having no real estate for it, I'm glad that it's probably over a year out, because I don't know where I'm going to put that thing. People are already talking about it becoming a coffee table. I'm like, that's not a bad
right.
idea. I don't have space for it anymore. But this, I had to
I want
jump
to build
on.
a table out of that Toys R Us sign
Mhm.
that I may or may not have procured for myself. Uh,
It was
and
just
have
laying
you,
there.
yeah, and have you set it up on that. That would be fantastic.
I may actually display my Eternia at your place, because the one of the reasons I did jump on it was because for the price they were asking, I believe it was about
A
four or five
billion,
hundred.
right? Yeah.
Was slightly less, about 400 or 500, and honestly, like to get the original Eternia, you're going to wind up paying thousands. And here was the opportunity to get in on the ground floor. This is the lowest this thing will ever cost.
Hmm.
It's a limited produced item. It looks amazing. It's got the three different towers. The
Hmm.
monorail works. You can take it apart. You can reconstruct it. And it was it wasn't something that I wanted to regret not getting. I could see, being in like a larger space later on, and thinking to myself,
Way to
this would
invest in
be.
your future, Tom. Some people will buy bonds or invest in some retirement 401k, but I like that you've invested in joy.
Absolutely. I did not want say 2026 Tom to look back on this time and be like, why didn't I just get it? I should have just gotten
2026.
it.
That's only 3 years from now.
Hey,
Man, you're
look, regret happens fast.
you gotta move fast these days. It's a buyer's market. You gotta go.
Reality hits you hard. You're like, damn it. I should have gone for it.
So what would be what was your favorite playset?
Oh, you know what? I want to say the Hive. This is what, episode 4 in a row where I've gone back to sectors. The
Right.
Hive, the Hive
Loyal
place.
listener, he does have an affinity for the sectars. So, if you find one in a parking lot next to a 20,
a lot of a lot of my. I feel like everyone has
yeah,
like
mine's GI
formative.
Joe. Like the first 3 episodes, I feel like all I did was talk about GI Joe.
Yeah, well, I feel like that's because for every collector, there are a certain number of certain figures that you form like these everlasting memories of. Like, so it was an important time in your life. Whether or not you were going through something, or you were just a kid, and it was like the first time of receiving something. So we're at our 10-minute mark. Oh, that
Are
was
you
quick.
kidding me? All right, so tell me about the Hive. Why is that your favorite? We are
So
just not good at this.
so the Hive I remember the most because that I got it the same year that I first just discovered sectors. My father got me Zack and Vidor, which I was afraid to ask for. He was in a good mood. I was in Modell's,
Right?
and I think I may have told the story already. So I was all in for Sector. I asked for him for my birthday, asked for him for Christmas, and my parents, under the guise of Santa, managed to get us. I remember that Christmas so vividly. Coming into the living room, there's the Christmas tree, there's the lights, and then just propped up against the wall. We don't have enough paper to wrap this thing. Was the Hive playset, and it was easy. I want it's so big in the box, no less. I want to say it was probably in the upwards of 3 feet by 3 feet. The Hive itself, once you get it out, it is very indicative of the time. It was a like a vacuum sealed like
right. They
large
all
piece
kind
of
of
decent
followed that.
plastic.
Yeah, like we said,
Yeah,
like the Crystar, like Eagle Island.
yeah. So you had the height of it, which was the height of it was, I want to say, up in the upwards of about 3 feet,
Yeah, they were
maybe.
big guys, the Sectors.
Yeah, maybe about like a foot and a half to 2 feet wide. In the back, you had bars that were used for the supports. You had the cardboard set up for the action, but then it came with a hand puppet that you could reach through the back and like grab figures. It had like a little scaffolding on the top that had a trap door.
I had forgotten about the hand puppet, and which I don't know
Yeah,
why. Though, like all of they all had so many hand puppets.
yeah, it played into the gimmick. It had like ladders
Mhm.
and whatever, and you could and it was, yeah, the sectors worked well in it. But I also got some He-Man characters that Christmas, and for that it's just giant daunting Doomscape, and you put them on there, and it just it looked phenomenal. And
Yeah,
that if you updated the Hive, we're probably looking at another Eternia situation where
right,
it
right.
would be in the upwards of $400-500, and I would buy it.
Loyal listener, we have way too many toys. So if you've got warehouse space maybe you're not using, and would like to be able to see just a festival of fun inside of it, in the shape of our collection, that would be awfully nice of you. We need some space, loyal listener. Uh,
So what about you? What was your
uh,
primo playset experience? One that you would want to see updated?
I think I don't know if it's the actual playset because it was kind of weird. It was one of those that seconded as a carry case,
Mm-hmm.
and it had weird like all primary colors, so it looked like a nursery school classroom. But uh, again, it was Christmas, like you mentioned, '84. Uh, I got I got the superpowers. I got the Lexor 7. I got the
Oh, okay.
Batmobile, Batman and Robin with it. I
Mm-hmm.
got Superman and the Hall of Justice.
Mm-hmm.
And then simultaneously that same Christmas, the Secret Wars came out, and I got Wolverine, who I didn't even know who he was at the time, Kang, who I didn't know who he was at the time,
Mm-hmm.
Magneto, Spider-Man, and the Tower of Doom, and it just formed this perfect like crossfire, you know, Doom, Tower of Doom versus the Hall of
Mm-hmm.
Justice, and the Hall of
That's
Justice.
awesome.
Yeah, but I mean, that was just such a great Christmas. But I think I'm associating with the Hall of Justice with that memory. But
Mm-hmm.
I would have to say, for the time, and this will be no surprise to anybody, when the GI Joe headquarters came out, and it was 3 feet
Oh,
long,
yeah.
and it had the jail in the middle, it had
Mm-hmm.
the computer and a big cannon in the front. It had two bays for the cars, the Jeeps, and
Mm-hmm.
then also the helicopter pad. Uh, that was just the coolest thing, and it had
Yeah.
that so like it didn't have any like fanciful look to it. It looked so military. It's literally a metal wall,
Yeah.
at an angle that looked like a snowplow. Like no one could get in there. It was just so cool. And you had to put it together, and it was pretty easy. But then it had the walls, like it
Mm-hmm.
had actual rooms and a jail. And then it had the case in the back with the racks that you could store stuff. Like it was just like the playset at the time. Like I said, we had Tatooine, we had this, we had that,
Mm-hmm.
but like this was a real playset. Like things were happening
Yeah.
on the playset. Like the computers were there, and the cannons, kind of had
If
that like pirate ship feel. Like you are
Okay,
not
yeah.
going to stop this.
So
It
if
was just
they
well done.
so if this was updated, what would you want to see from? Would you want it to be on like a 4-inch scale, or would you want to
Oh
see
no,
it?
give me a classifieds.
Oh, that would be amazing.
It would be
This
monstrous. It would be, at least 6 feet long. And then of course we don't have any vehicles to put in the bay. I mean, we've got a couple, but you have the rapid fire motorcycle and things like that. But
Mhm.
I don't know that it would work for the 6-inch scale because, like I said, you don't have the vehicles except for like the HasLab his tank.
Yeah.
But Boy, that would be cool. And then, but GI Joe had a bunch of good, like they had the space shuttle
Oh yeah,
launch
that's right.
pad was
Yeah.
phenomenal, and then that, right around that same time they did the Battle Force 2000, which were kind of horrible, but um they were stupid. Like, why is this guy in brown and gray camouflage driving this moon truck that's white? Like, I don't know, it made no sense. But um anyway, I digress. Those PlayStations you actually could play on, like the Tatooine and oh, the Dagobah playset was
Mhm,
pretty cool,
mhm.
but you couldn't get your hands in there. Like, it was
Yeah.
hollowed out like Yoda's, but you couldn't actually play in there. You could
Yeah.
stick Yoda in there and look at him and go, Yoda looks really cool in this house.
Yeah.
And then you have to dump him out and actually play around it because you couldn't actually get in there and do anything. Like, these were, and like Hoth and Tatooine were just slabs of plastic. Um, but those were actual play sets that
Yeah.
became part of your story and part of your universe, which is why I love them so much. Same with the Hall of Justice. I mean, it just folded out, but again, you could play in the set.
With McFarlane starting to mess around with the idea of doing like full scale Batmobiles, I wonder if Hall of Justice is on his radar. Like he released the Batmobile, which is just like, and it's not a playset per se,
Right,
but he clearly has no and him he has a unique setup where, not that he doesn't care, but he doesn't have to care as much. He's not beholden to stockholders or anything like that, like a Hasbro, like a Mattel. So I
right.
kind of wonder if that is something that he would
Or like Two
consider
Guys
doing.
Talking Toys Inc.
Yeah, he's not beholden to our whims and the things that we would like for him to do, even though that
Yeah.
that would be kind of interesting. But we go too far in that we say things like, sure, it would be nice to get a classic Wonder Woman.
Well, that's a big ask.
We're driving
Although he
them
just
off with
he
that.
just did it. He just did it in his new Superpowers
And
line.
superpowers, but find me a 7
But I
inch
mean, yeah,
classic
he's
Wonder
already
Woman.
doing the Superpowers line, so why
Yes.
not redo the Hall of Justice?
Oh, that's true. If he were to do one for that scale, that would make sense.
Not
He's already done some of the vehicles.
not the Crayola colors, though. I would like to see one that actually looks like the Hall of Justice. But he's doing the Superpowers line, so and he's done play sets. Like, he's the only one doing real play sets now, and he's doing them well. He's
Mhm.
doing it in a way that makes them affordable.
Yeah.
Uh, he's really knocking it out of the ballpark with that. So if he did the Hall of Justice, I'd be excited about that. I really would. I know we're getting short on time, so loyal listeners, I would really love to hear, how you feel about playsets now and how they are displayed in your collection, and send us pictures if you want. That would be cool. And secondly, did you use them when you were a kid? Were you a playset kid? Because I know a lot of kids, if they had a choice between a vehicle or a
Yeah.
playset, they're gonna take like, if you had a choice between the Millennium Falcon or Cloud City, I mean,
Yeah.
that's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, I think if you had like a recognizable vehicle, as opposed to a playset, then that's something that you would generally go for over like a full size playset, unless they're like money's no option, you can get it.
Right.
So we are all right. So we are just about out of time. Um,
Yes. Thank you, loyal listener.
Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to get a hold of us, you can contact us on Twitter. That's Two Guys Talking Toys. The number 2, no G after the talking. Our Gmail is the same. Two Guys Talking Toys, no G after the talking. The number 2. Take care, everybody.